This is investigation number one. I have a syringe, which I can push the plunger in and out, and it contains air. Right now it's open. There's no needle or anything, but it's open. So I'm going to get some air in here, and then I'm going to put a cap on the end. And so this cap is not allowing any air in or out of the syringe now. And I'm at about 35 milliliters of air. And then I'm going to compress it. So I'm going to push down. When I push down, it becomes really difficult to push down once I get down to about 10 or 15 milliliters of air. And then I'm going to let go. And when I let go, what I'm going to see is that the syringe is going to push back out. The plunger is going to move back out until it gets to around 35 milliliters of air again. So again, I can press the syringe in, let it go, and it pushes back to approximately the same volume that it started at. This is investigation number two. For this one, I have two balloons, and they're both the same size. So I've got two balloons, same size, and then I have two containers of water. This one is ice water, has a tiny bit of blue food coloring in it, and then this one is warm water. So I'm going to take my two balloons, and I'm going to put them into the warm water and the cold water, and leave them there for a little bit and see what happens to them. Mixing them around until they get to change temperature, and I'll pull them out. And you can see that this one has gotten larger. This was the one in the warm water, and then this one in the cold water has actually gotten a little bit smaller. Keep it in there for another second, see if it changes anymore. All right, so they started out the same size, and now you can see that this one in the warm water is significantly larger than this one in the cold water. This is investigation number three. So I have a balloon, which I filled with air and tied. I'm going to put a little piece of tape and set it on this balance so we can get the mass of the balloon. And then I'm going to take this pin and I'm going to pop the balloon. I'm going to try to do that gently without, or I'm just going to try to let the air out kind of gently without popping it. Okay, so I made a small hole in it and the air is going out. And as the air goes out, we'll see what happens to the mass of the balloon as the balloon is deflating. There's a small hole in it, and the air is coming out. Stretch it to let the air out a little faster. So you can see the balloon has gotten smaller, and you can see that its mass has changed as well. And so it's slowly deflating, and as it deflates, you can see that the mass is not the same as it was when it was full. All right, this is investigation number four. So I have a balloon, and I'm going to blow up the balloon. So that balloon inflates pretty easily. I'll let it back out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bottle, and I'm going to put my balloon inside of the bottle. And I'll just stretch the end over the top of the bottle. And I'm going to try to inflate the balloon again. So I'm going to blow into it just like I did before. And it becomes quite difficult or really impossible to inflate the balloon. So I can inflate it pretty easily when it was outside the bottle, but now that I put it inside the bottle and I try to inflate it, it's very, very difficult or impossible to blow up. So you guys can think about why that occurs. This is investigation number five. I have a container of water, just put a little food coloring in it so you can see it a little bit better. And then I have a beaker, so a small glass beaker. I'm going to take this, I'm going to hold it upside down, and I'm going to place the beaker underwater. So I'm going to push the beaker underwater with the open side down. And the beaker actually does not fill with water. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn the beaker, so I'm going to rotate it to the side and see what happens. So bubbles are coming out, and the beaker is filling with water. We'll do that one more time. All right, so we got the beaker, it's empty. We push it down underneath the water. And then when we turn the beaker to its side, we see bubbles coming out and we see the beaker filling with water. All right, this is investigation number six. So I have a test tube and I have some water. The water just has blue coloring in it. And so what I did is I filled the test tube with water. And then I have this small piece of plastic. I'm going to stick the piece of plastic on top of our test tube, and I'll just hold it there with my finger. And then I'm going to turn this upside down. So I've got the piece of plastic, and then the test tube is upside down with that little piece of plastic on the top. And then I'm going to remove my finger from that piece of plastic, and that piece of plastic is actually staying on and holding the water in the test tube. And then I'll remove that plastic, and the water all pours out when I remove that plastic. So this wasn't taped on or anything, it was just being held there. We're going to repeat that one more time, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time. This time I'm only going to fill the test tube halfway. So I have the test tube halfway filled with water. I'm going to put the plastic on it and turn it upside down. And now I'm going to try to remove my finger from it. And it doesn't work. The plastic doesn't stick. So it only stuck when it was filled with water. This is investigation number 7. So I have a test tube filled with water, and then I have a container filled with water. I'm going to put my finger over the top of that test tube and turn it upside down and place it into the water. And I'm going to look at the level of water in the test tube as I raise it and lower it in my pan of water. So I can lower it, I can raise it, and we see that the water is staying at the same level it's staying at the top of the test tube. I'm going to repeat this now, but with the test tube about halfway filled with water. So I have the test tube halfway filled with water, put my finger over it, I'm going to turn it upside down, place it under the water, and I'm going to move this up and down, and we'll see how much water, or what the level of water is in the test tube. It can be at the surface of the water, or it can be above the surface of the water, depending upon where I move the test tube. All right, this is investigation number 8. So I have a plastic bottle, and I took a pin and I poked a hole in the bottle, but no water's coming out. Right now I have the top on the bottle. What I'm going to do is take the top off the bottle. So I'm going to unscrew the top. So I'm removing the top from the bottle, and you can see the bottle is now leaking, so you can see the water coming out. I'm going to put the top back on the bottle. So I'm screwing the top back on the bottle. And that just stopped our leak, so water's not coming out anymore. We'll do that again. We'll open the bottle, so taking the cap off the bottle, unscrewing that, and you see the leak is occurring again. And we'll put the top back on the bottle, and our leak stops again. This is investigation number 9. So in this one I have a soda can with water inside of it, just a small amount of water, and the water is boiling. You can see the vapor coming out. Then I have an ice bath over here. I'm going to take the can and really quickly flip it upside down and put it into the ice bath. So I'll do that right now. So I'm going to grab it, and then I'm going to quickly take it and put it upside down. You can see the can was crushed. I didn't squeeze it, but I was just holding it with the tongs. But it was crushed as soon as it went into the ice water.